So, Sumit, we will be keeping an eye on that. Meanwhile, we have Mr. Daniel Geltrude, CPA, founder of Geltrude and Company, joining us live from New York for this big budget day coverage here on WION World is One. Mr. Geltrude, thank you so much for being with us. Talk to us. What kind of measures, according to you, are needed to sort of perk up the mood in the markets, which, as we're finding out right now, with the way the rupee is opened, flat?
All markets under a capitalist society, you really need a couple combinations, one of which is having lower interest rates along with reduced regulations. Pure capitalism is the best thing for the markets. And what does that mean? It means it's driven by bottom line profits by the performing companies. We see this happening right now in the United States, where there has been lower taxes, lower interest rates, and lower regulation, and it has spurred the U.S. economy. The same can be true as it relates to India.
You know, but there's a, let me come in, there's a great pull to come out with populist measures in view of approaching elections in global markets. What would they expect in terms of fiscal prudence? What, according to you, is that fine and right balance?
The thing about populism is it gets people elected. The problem on the other side is it often deals with fiscal irresponsibility. Why? Because the government tends to give away things. So now you have a situation where the government is spending more money in order to, in effect, buy votes. Now, Modi has been accused of this, particularly as it pertains to farmers, where you have subsidies being given to farmers in order to assist them, and the thought is that that is exchanged for votes. Now, the right balance here is that a society must take care of the elderly, the weak, the sick, and those that are very impoverished. But beyond that, when you have able-bodied people, they must be able to work. And that's the difficult balance that needs to be struck in India in order to have a prosperous society.
Now, sentiment has been weighed down by the slowdown. Worries, what if there is no Big Bang reform announcement?
I would not anticipate that there's going to be some Big Bang announcement that's going to be coming from the government anytime soon. Now, let's understand that slowdowns occur as a normal part of economic cycles. Right now, you have a global slowdown, and India is not going to be excluded from that. We see it in China, we see it in Europe. So India needs to be careful in order to be fiscally responsible and make sure that they are doing the right things. Because if not, it would be very easy to get pulled into this global slowdown, which would have a dramatic negative impact upon India at this point in time. Right now, India has been pretty stable economically, and obviously the growth has been good as well. But we want to see that continue into the future.
You know, Mr. Geltrude, I wanted to ask you, when you look back at the record of this government, what kind of signs from this government has given you confidence that this particular interim budget will indeed be a good one?
Has been pretty responsible financially. When we look at inflation in India has been stable. And as a matter of fact, we've even seen some dip in inflation. So it's very difficult to manage what is the fastest growing large economy in the world. And I think for the most part, India has done a pretty good job. What we need to be careful about here is whether inflation takes a turn, number one, and the other thing, more importantly, and this is what we're going to see in the upcoming elections, is overspending by the government. That's a cardinal sin. Again, we see this happening in Europe, where expenditures are far too great against revenue, and of course we see it in the United States as well. These types of financial plans are not sustainable, and India needs to be wary of that. But so far, they've done a good job, and that would give me confidence in what the budget is going to look like going forward.
Hi, a question I would like to take is that what will be the worrying global investors as they look at the Indian budget this time? What will be the headline that will please them?
The concern from any investor looking at the budget for India right now is going to relate to what the expenditures are. You cannot have a budget, a financially responsible budget, where you're going to be spending more than the revenues are coming in. And this is where we have a difficult balance with an election coming up, and you want to be a populist in order to be elected. So what will worry investors is overspending by the government. What will make investors feel good is having the inflation still under control, having interest rates being kept low or as low as they can responsibly. And ultimately, it really comes down to not introducing new taxes. Taxes are a drain on the wealthy, and they're a drain on corporations. And those are the people that create jobs. So as long as we're not going to see any new substantial taxes, I think that investors are going to be pretty positive about India's economy going forward.
So I think that's the word I was looking forward to, the job. That's the basic word, because of the lack of jobs, the elections were impacted for Bharatiya Janata Party.